Assalamualaikum and hi, I am w.b.t Yusoff.
Classroom management refers to the strategies and techniques employed by educators to create a conducive and productive learning environment, promoting student engagement, collaboration, and achievement. In 21st century learning, the concept of classroom management has evolved to adapt to the changing needs of learners will be more challenging because students will be required to think more creatively and innovatively as well as be able to solve problems and think critically. The teacher skills in using the 21st century pedagogy need to be mastered by teachers in creating 21st century classroom with a creative learning space that enables the student to compete and to learn cooperatively as well as collaboratively. Teachers must adapt to 21st century teaching and learning methods that emphasize on four main skills, which are critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Managing a classroom with students of varying abilities and learning styles can be challenging. Students of varying abilities and learning styles refers to the diverse range of strengths, weaknesses, preferences, and ways in which students process and retain information. In a typical classroom, teachers may encounter students with different academic levels, cognitive abilities, language proficiencies, and learning preferences that becoming the challenges and obstacles in creating a positive classroom management. Thus, there are several theories that have been learned in the educational psychology that can be implemented in order to provide a positive classroom management. One of the theories that can be implemented in the classroom is Vygotsky's theory, such as zone of proximal development (ZPD) and scaffolding. The zone of proximal development (ZPD) is a key concept in Lev Vygotsky's sociocultural theory of cognitive development. Zone of proximal development (ZPD) is Vygotsky's term for the range of tasks that are too difficult for the child to master alone, but that can be learned with guidance and assistance from adults or more skilled children. Vygotsky argued that learning occurs best when a child is guided and supported through the ZPD by someone with more empathy, such as a teacher. In the ZPD, the student is capable of performing tasks or solving problems with assistance that they cannot yet do alone. This assistance might come in the form of explanations, demonstrations, feedback, or any other form of support that helps the learner bridge the gap between what they can do independently and what they can achieve with help. Meanwhile, scaffolding is a teaching approach and instructional technique that is based on Lev Vygotsky's sociocultural theory of cognitive development. Scaffolding is a technique that involves changing the level of support for learning. A teacher adjusts the amount of guidance to fit the student's current performance. The support is gradually reduced as the students becomes more capable, eventually being able to complete the task independently. Scaffolding is designed to help students bridge the gap between the current level of understanding and the potential level of understanding. Therefore, I had conducted an interview about the classroom management where the respondent is the teacher. The name of the teacher is Rozana binti Abdul Razak and known as Teacher Rozana. Teacher Rozana is an English language teacher at SMK Datuk Haji Ahmad Said, Pulau Pinang, and she also has 30 years of experience as a teacher. The objectives of this interview conducted because to get the relevant information and opinions from the teacher about the understanding of a positive classroom environment, how to establish a positive classroom climate that supports learning and psychological well-being, what strategies to promote student engagement and motivation in the classroom, how to promote the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills in students, describe the strategies to help students overcome learning obstacles, how to motivate the students in learning, and also what challenges to communicate with misbehavior students and how to handle it. Now, let us give a full attention to the interview session with Teacher Rozana about her opinions related to the classroom management. What do you think about positive classroom environment?
Okay. a positive classroom environment should be able to have an effective classroom management. Alright, so we as teachers, we should promote positive environment in classroom so that the teaching and learning process will be able to be carried out smoothly. Right, and at the same time, we should also make sure that we reinforce positive elements in the classroom all the time. For example, if students were able to produce, I would say, correct feedback, you should give positive praises to them, so that in a way it will ensure that we are motivating students to always volunteer in any situation. Right? Okay. Besides that, we as teachers too have to make sure that we engage active involvement among the students, so that we will have I would say the feedback that we required from them. Okay, and we must make sure that everybody participate. We should not let any students be the backbenchers. Okay.
How do you establish a positive classroom climate that supports learning and psychological well-being?
It is undeniable that we have to ensure that we have a very conducive environment while we are teaching the students, especially students nowadays. So the first thing that we should put into consideration is to ensure that we have a good rapport among the students. So as teachers, we have to be creative to come up with activities which involve everybody in the classroom. Alright, we have to ensure that everybody participate in any task that we provide for the students. Okay, and definitely by doing so, there will be active involvement among them, and they will be not shy to actually voice out their opinion in any situation that we pose to them. Okay.
What strategies do you use to promote student engagement and motivation in the classroom?
In today's environment, it is undeniable that all teachers have to implement what we call 21st century learning approach, or PAK21, pembelajaran abad 21. Okay, so this approach of teaching is actually focusing on student-centered learning process, and this is actually this approach actually enhances elements of communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and values and ethics. And this is very important, especially with today's environment. As you can see, the development of education nowadays is of a higher level compared to the previous years. Right? An example of the approach is focusing on problem-based learning. Okay, so by doing so, this approach will actually prepare students for the future by teaching them the skills that they need in order to be successful in a global economy. Right? So examples of strategies that we can use are such as flipped classroom, PBL learning, and then we also have cooperative learning. To add on a little bit, now through the implementation of 21st century learning strategies, okay, students are actually exposed to real life situations. For example, when we apply PBL, project-based learning, in our lessons, automatically students we will be able to actually enhance students' critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Okay, so this approach is especially catered for some subjects actually. Right? So in the syllabus, students have to apply PBL method in the task given by their teachers.
How do you promote the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills in your students?
Okay, as a language teacher, alright, so the method that normally being used in class is we use open-ended questions. Okay, so by giving such questions, students will have to brainstorm on the relevant responses that should be provided. In this kind of approach, there is no one's correct answer. As long as students can provide, I would say, elaboration and giving some examples or proof, to actually support your statement, then we as teachers should accept those responses as it is. Right? And as I mentioned earlier, we talk about PBL, okay, about project-based learning. That is also one of the ways to actually promote their critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Definitely, PBL plays, I would say, an important role to ensure that these skills we can actually enhance among the students.
Can you describe any strategies you use to help students overcome learning obstacles?
Okay, there are many ways actually teachers can make use in the classroom. So I think the immediate one would be peer coaching. Alright, so we understand that in a classroom there are many levels of students. We have high level of students, intermediate and low level of students, because we're not supposed to stream the students according to their levels, right? Okay, so what the teacher can do is definitely at the beginning of the year, she or he will have to identify where the students are. What I meant is their levels, where their levels are. For example, if in English we have to check their competency and I would say how good they are in terms of communicative skill. Alright, so by identifying those skills, we are able to actually identify where the students are, and they will, as time passes, when we give tasks, not all the students will be able to perform well, right? So what we can do is we can group them into groups, but at the beginning probably we don't allow them to choose their own group. So teachers will have to determine who will actually be the group leader, and the group leader must be someone who is capable and at least have a basic understanding of the language. Okay, so by doing so, during the discussion, those particular students will be able to help the other students who are not that good, okay, in that particular subject. And there are students who are actually more comfortable asking their students instead of the teachers. So this is actually one of the ways that we can help, right? And besides that, we can also give them self-assessment practices for different levels of students. What I meant here is that since at the beginning we have already identified the level of students, so what we can do is we provide materials according to the level of students. Probably we can give them one basic exercises for everybody, for all levels, and for the advanced students we can provide extra practices, extra exercises for them, right? Because normally these kind of students, they will be able to complete their task in a very short time compared to the students who are of the lower level, right? So probably once they have finished everything, the teacher can actually request, okay, the students of the high level to actually help the students who are unable to complete their task at the proposed time given by the teachers. Okay.
How to motivate your students in learning?
Alright, the first thing as a teacher, we should make sure that we provide a positive classroom climate. That's the first rule, because by establishing that, we will be able to ensure that students participate well in our classroom. Okay, so one of the ways to actually motivate them is by giving praises. Okay, so we should ensure that whatever responses that the students provided, regardless whether it's a wrong answer or a correct answer, we should be able to praise first, then only we make other comments, right? And then besides that, by doing so, we will be able to support them in terms of I would say enhancing their self-esteem, because some students they need that kind of approach to ensure that they will be able to perform better in their exam or even doing tasks in the classroom. Okay, because definitely there will be extrovert students, there will be introvert students. Extrovert students, there will be not much of a problem because we can easily get their responses, okay, without fail. But for those introvert students, we need to actually build their self-esteem first to ensure that they are confident. and after that, after doing so, then we'll be able to, I would say, gauge the understanding, and they will be able to focus more in class and will provide responses without fail too.
The last question is, what challenges do you think to communicate with misbehaving students and how to handle?
This is not something new. This is actually been going on for all ages. Okay, definitely, it is a great challenge, especially for, I would say, English language teachers to actually to gauge the students' attention in class for to actually learn the subject, because English is not the first language in Malaysia, it is the second language in Malaysia, and because of that, it is not the language that all speak at home, right? And we have to understand that our students come from different backgrounds, okay, and then definitely the academic level is also different too. There are families who actually speak English as the first language at home. So when we have that kind of students, there should be no problem at all at school, because they are already motivated to learn the language. I'm talking in terms of English language. And then so when we have students who are actually misbehaving, is actually I wouldn't say that they are bad students. It's just that some of them are deprived of the opportunities to use language other than in the classroom, and because of that, I would relate misbehavior to lack of interest, not because of they are bad, but because of the lack of interest among the students towards the language, in particular English language. Okay, and because of the lack of exposure, lack of opportunities to actually communicate in English, this will result in misbehavior. That's my personal opinion, because they couldn't actually understand what's going on in the classroom, and definitely there are not many of their friends who would willingly help them to actually I would say be good in that language, okay, because it's not easy, right? And because of that, as teachers, we have to ensure that as I mentioned earlier just now during our interview, we should promote positive environment in the classroom. So by doing so, we will be able to I would say promote a positive climate, and then students will have a higher level of self-esteem, and by having such self-esteem, they will be able to, I would say, freely volunteer to learn the language without being forced. And by along the process, definitely the word misbehavior will be out of the picture. So the teacher must be able to I would say to be wise in understanding who their students are, so that she will be able to practice I would say the most relevant approach with the students.
In conclusion, classroom management, as discussed through the interview session with teacher Rosanna, plays a vital role in creating an environment that fosters student engagement, motivation, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. A positive classroom environment fosters a sense of safety, respect, support, and engagement among students and teachers. It is a space where students feel valued, motivated, and empowered to learn and grow academically, socially, and emotionally. Besides, teachers need to be creative to come up with activities that involve the engagement of students in the classroom in order to establish a positive climate that supports learning and psychological well-being. It can be done by incorporating active learning strategies that encourage student participation, such as group work, discussions, hands-on activities, and project-based learning. In the 21st century learning, student-centered learning is required, while teachers only act as facilitators and observers. Problem-based learning helps increase students' abilities to define problems, improve reasoning via arguments, plan better, and improve academic grades. In addition, combining open-ended questions and project-based learning creates a powerful synergy for promoting critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Open-ended questions initiate the thought process and encourage students to explore ideas further. Meanwhile, project-based learning provides a practical context for students to apply their critical thinking skills and actively engage in problem solving. Together, these approaches cultivate a deeper understanding of concepts, foster creativity, and prepare students to tackle real-world challenges with confidence and competence. Furthermore, effective classroom management aligns with Vygotsky's social-cultural theory, especially in its emphasis on the zone of proximal development (ZPD) and scaffolding. By creating a positive, inclusive environment and employing appropriate strategies, teachers can support students' cognitive development and enhance their learning experiences. Classroom management practices that incorporate Vygotsky's idea can lead to more successful and meaningful learning outcomes for students. In addition, suggestions and improvements are required to ensure the successful and efficient implementation of the 21st century learning process in creating a positive classroom management. To meet the demands of 21st century education, teachers must first master a variety of fields. Teachers must be prepared to master a variety of skills and put their learning into practice so that they are always up to date on current events and changes in the national education system. Besides, teachers must also be able to combine their own knowledge with other fields so that classroom learning is not limited to a single topic. For example, video-based learning aids or interactive quizzes in classes can be used by teachers to improve the holistic participation of students. Not only that, teachers must also be creative and innovative in discovering ways to inspire students to think and promote collaborative learning among students, resulting in a more conducive learning environment. Therefore, the effective implementation of 21st century teaching and learning strategies can improve students' grasp of the subject matter while also assisting teachers in gaining better teaching experiences. That's all from me. Thank you.